What's up, you guys? Welcome back to WIDEBODY Nation. This is your 4-month, 4,000-mile review on my 2022 WRX. We have done some modifications, as you guys can see by the wheels and maybe by the exhaust tips if you are a first-time viewer. But basically, I've had this car for 4 months and almost 4,000 miles, so that's allowed me to both, drive the car in some different conditions and also share the car with some people and get it to the shop, first oil change, and some other modifications and time under the hood, time under the car that's given us a good, I'd say, holistic view of ownership within the first half a year or so. So with that being said, if you guys are curious to see how this car progresses, ownership experience, general Subaru stuff, and then just other car owner stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button if you care to, and comment below on your thoughts of the new WRX, because obviously a lot of people are just visual based people and have been roasting it up, but I think you'll see in this video that there's a lot more to the WRX than just looking like a Crosstrek and a RAV4. So with that being said, I'm gonna do a driving part of this video. Most of this video is actually going to be driving. I just wanted to start it out while I'm not driving, while the car's not on, so I could talk about a few things that I can't show you while I'm driving. So I guess we will start out with the most obvious part, and sorry for the wind if you guys can hear that. It's a little bit windy here today. But as far as the looks go, I think I solved that a little bit with the gold wheels. Obviously a lot of people are like, oh, you got a fist size wheel gap in here. I really don't mind having a little bit of wheel gap. I like having some ground clearance here. I mean, we've got a good probably 7-8 inches of ground clearance right there, and I really like that personally. So I don't have to worry about scraping. I mean, this is kind of like a daily / all-around car. It's not my one size fits all car. Just kick the trash can. But I like putting a good set of wheels on it. The tires are too wide right here. Obviously they poke a little bit, so I would recommend 255 width tires if you're going if you're gonna go with these type of wheels, because these are normal like STI spec wheels. These are 18 by 9.5 width wheels. I had them set up for the 209, and the 209 actually rubbed them a little bit too. As you can see, there's a couple superficial gashes in the tire here. So I would recommend it at widest probably a 255, because you guys can see the little bit of poke right here, especially if you're going to be on like a 9 or 9.5 inch wide rim. Again, those are 18s right there. Now, while we're down there, I will talk about the brakes too. Now, keep in mind that I'm coming from an STI and from a lot of other performance cars. The brakes on this WRX are about as good as my wife's RAV4. No better than that. They're definitely not Brembos, as you guys can see. They are, they'll stop you, but do not rely on them performance-wise, especially if you haven't upgraded the pads or upgraded the fluid to like a .4, high, like a racing brake fluid or something like that. So if you're looking to track this car as far as like a circuit track, the brakes are going to be what's going to fail on you first. I guarantee it. But that's okay. I mean, it's a WRX. It is what it is. I'm not faulting them for it. I'm just letting you guys know, because the rest of the car is very capable. I've taken this thing on quite a few back roads here in Tennessee, and my, Tommy Kentner, who owns TK Auto Works, and some other guys have taken it out and put it through its paces, and she gets around. I mean, this car is much better than every WRX I have ever been in, driven, as far as like heard of, as far as performance. I've driven a few WRXs, all the way from the hatchback all the way up through the VA or the VA generation, and this feels much more STI, especially with these wheels and tires on there. Some nice light Titan 7 forged wheels, a good 265 width tire. This thing handles on rails, other than the braking. The braking is very sketchy, especially if you're getting after it, because those brakes fade and they just don't have a ton of bite, honestly. So again, brakes, be careful. The car though is very balanced. The 6-speed with the short throw STI shifter in there is good. It's a little Honda-y, which I would say is a compliment. It's not quite as like rubber Subaru-y. It's a little bit more Honda-y. We'll get to that in the driving portion, but that is, The car is good. The car drives well. It's on rails. And we'll talk about it more, but it doesn't really have a dead spot in the steering wheel like most Subarus do. As far as mods go, most of you guys know this, but I'll go ahead and pop the hood, and then obviously you'll be able to hear the car when we're driving, and I'll do it'll be a warm start because I already drove this to work this morning. But we have the ETS top mount, and we have the ETS cold air intake with the box here. And I call it a cold air intake because it actually has the box. It's away from the engine. If it wasn't, if it didn't have the box or it was just like a short ram, I don't know, I would just call it an intake, but this one's kind of like more of a cold air intake, right? But we'll give it a little fan here, cool her off a little bit. We did the first oil change. Yes, that is a Subaru filter, but it's not like the WRX filter, so everyone's freaking out about that. I'm not too worried about it. We have the ETS Extreme cat back here, so that is no mufflers, and I believe it did come with one resonator. I'll double tap that with you guys when we get it up on the lift later, because the last thing I talk about before I get in the car is the classic FA24, or what's becoming a classic FA24 complaint, which is the sealant around the oil pan, because Subaru did an oopsie, and whatever machine or whatever person was applying all that sealant for the oil pan to stick onto the bottom of the block, basically, they use too much. And the problem with that is it oozes into the pan and can even break off like little chunks of rubber, or rubber-ish stuff, aka not oil, and it clogs the oil pickup, or if it's small enough, it can just even get into the combustion process. And obviously you don't want to be burning rubber in your cylinders or around your cylinders or anywhere in the oil passageways. Obviously getting into the oil pump would not be good either. Just all around not good to have foreign objects in there. So the problem with these WRXs is the new FA24 motor in this configuration, you can't just pull the pan really easy. Like in the STIs, I think you could just drop the header and then you were good to go. Whereas this, you guys will see in our next video, it is kind of a pain in the butt to even check if your pan is an issue, let alone then resealing it, has to sit for a while. And it's a pain in the butt, if we're being honest, Subaru. So I'm gonna go ahead and try not to electrocute myself here. Grab that leaf out, and let's get a startup for you guys. So I'll go ahead, jump in here, prime it up for you guys. Some of you guys always complain that I don't prime it before I start it. Remember, oh yeah, I don't have TPMS in these wheels, so car freaks out. I know that's kind of a rookie move. I just didn't do it the first time. So there's your rumble. It is not very, I would say, rumbly. It's got a tone to it. You guys will hear it more driving. Definitely smoother than a normal Subaru sounding. You will definitely hear this guy piping up, and no real sound changes with the top mount, but the top mount has been pretty good. And I think it looks good under there. So we're on the road to TK Auto Works, Tommy Kettner. Check out his YouTube channel, and we are gonna go and pull the oil pan off my WRX at about 4,000 miles to see what kind of like if the problem does exist, more or less. So we'll share all that in another video, but I already explained it. So let's jump to the driving experience and tuning and some of the other mods. First elephant in the room that a lot of you guys have been piping up about has been the fact that we haven't tuned this car, but it has mods. So the catback, you do not need a tune for a catback. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Just no. It's a catback exhaust. It does not matter. For the intake, we'll take that one at a time. The intake, the way ETS designed it, and I know you guys are already freaking out in the comments, the way ETS designed it, they designed it as far as the math scaling and all the other specs with it to work without a tune. Now, do I think it's the best idea or do I think it's a better idea to get a tune with it if you're trying to keep the car for 150,000 miles running well and also get the most performance out of it? Yes, I think that's a better idea. If you're going to get a mod and you're planning to keep the car for a long time, I would say it is a better idea to go ahead and get a tune. And that's without having been in this computer yet. I'm sure I'll probably have the same recommendation same recommendation after we've looked into it, because I'll tell you guys what we're gonna do about it in a second. Lastly, we have the top mount intercooler. Again, ETS designed it so that it can work without a tune. Now, again, do I advise you beat the crap out of your car and go track your car and expect it to last 150,000 miles if you do these same mods and never tune it and only do maybe routine oil changes? Your car's probably not going to last. But you can't have the best of both worlds. So we wanted to put these mods on, drive it for a couple thousand miles, and see if the car would act up at all. And the car has not acted up. The car sounds good. It feels maybe a little faster, but like we didn't tune the car, so obviously it's not going to be that much different as far as actual performance goes. I have not noticed, I've actually noticed a decrease in MPG, which is classic because when your car sounds good on the intake and with the exhaust, most people's MPG actually goes down because they drive it more sporty. And I'm not a crazy driver, I have much faster cars than this car, but I definitely like to get into it and spool that turbo up because sounds cool, right? Even though it's just a tiny little turbo and we got a little four banger, like it sounds fun. What are we gonna do about these mods? Well, these are not the only mods that we're not stopping, okay? We have a JB4 that is at the shop. We are just gonna take care of the oil pan thing first, because if there's a significant issue, then we want to get the car looked at by Subaru. Obviously, we'd probably take some mods off before Subaru gets their hands on it. And again, you guys can go nuts about it in the comments. I don't care. I'm not personally that emotionally invested in this car. I just got it because I needed a daily. I've used Subarus before, was curious about the new WRX, and it's been fun so far, but if it breaks and Subaru has to fix it, then they got to fix it. That's what a warranty is for. Now, obviously COBB has come out within the last month or two. They've come out with the access port. They've come out with Pro Tuning now. And people are starting to get some pretty decent numbers out of these. Notice I didn't say big numbers, I said decent numbers. And that's great. The JB4 seems to be potentially the better solution if you're not going to go full psycho with mods, because the JB4 you don't have to like reflash the computer and leave evidence that you were tuning the car, whereas the COBB, obviously that plugs right into your OBD2, and then bing bang boom, you kind of voided your warranty, right? So I have never used the JB4 before, and I don't think Tommy has either, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience, and we're kind of excited for it. As far as things I don't like, or let's talk about the interior. I think the way they designed it is pretty busy. There's a lot of angles going a lot of different ways. I mean, I don't really get it. I liked the older Subaru interiors that were simpler and flowier. This screen, in my opinion, is one of the worst on the market. Yes, Apple CarPlay runs well. It runs in a screen maximized format, but the screen has so much glare because it's not subdued or anything. It's not like an iPad. It's like super gloss. It's got a ton of glare, and probably within this 15-minute drive to the shop, you guys are probably going to see the screen short out and think my iPhone isn't plugged in anymore. And I've changed cords. I'm using my iPhone 14 Pro Max right now. Usually I use my iPhone 13 because I have two separate phones for reasons, Army/business, right? it does it with any cord, it does it with any phone. It's just a, you know, it's a C+, you know, technology solution. You know, Subaru, I guess they just don't have the bandwidth to put out a good product, you know? So there's a lot of silly stuff. I mean, this armrest is hard plastic. Granted, this car, you know, sticker was $33,400, and that's what I paid basically, other than like a little warranty this and whatever that. But you know, for a $33,000 car, there's a couple spots, mainly the screen, that I just not a big fan of. I do still need to tint this car, but I have plans for that aren't just involving, you know, just like going and paying someone to do it. So you guys can kind of stay tuned for that, I suppose. But yeah, the screen is super annoying to me. The sound system's not bad, the screen just sucks. And then as far as these seats, like these seats are pretty comfortable, and I have lower back / like nerve problems right now, so if they're not causing that to act up, that's actually pretty solid. The shifter, I think I talked to you guys about it before. The shifter is actually a very good bright spot. Like I said, most of the driving dynamics of this car, I mean, there's really no dead spot in the steering wheel, which is amazing for a Subaru. I'm so used to in Subarus there being like a lot of play in that steering wheel, which is always not confidence inspiring. That guy was just staring at me because I was doing the little butt wiggle for the car, and he's probably looking at the gold wheels. But we are about to switch the gold wheels back onto the S209 and go ahead and probably just put the stock wheels back on this car for now, at least, just to kind of get more of when we do the modifications, the upcoming round of mods, we want to kind of get a feel for the performance gains without taking the wheels into account, because these wheels made a huge difference. The fastest thing I've done to this car was put the Titan 7 forged wheels on with, you know, the Yokohama AO52 racing tire, 200 tread wear, you know, very sticky, good wide tire with some sidewall too, because remember, these are a 40 profile tire, which is great for actually having some cushion, giving the suspension a little bit more give. But other than that, first gear doesn't really spool up quite as much as the other gears do. It's a very like a very engine heavy gear, just like a very all motor gear. But our trip computer is saying that we have peaked out at 14.7 psi, which I believe is higher than this thing is rated for the factory. I think the factory only comes with like 12 point something as the tune, so who knows. Once we have the JB4 plugged in, I'll be able to tell you guys real boost numbers. I really don't know if that's correct or not. Some of the videos I've watched seem to indicate that it's not correct. But who really cares about that? Like, we'll see the real boost numbers soon. But as far as, I guess the thing I'd leave you guys with is, I was just at the dealership the other day, and if you guys want to know if these are holding their value, I'd say they're holding their value decently well. I've gotten dealers to offer me about $30,000 to $31,000 for this car, and it's almost at 4,000 miles. It's almost at 4,000 miles. It's a 2022, and the sticker was $33,400. So, you know, $2,000, $2,500 worth of depreciation, you know, $2,000 to $3,000 worth of depreciation on a new car in half a year and 4,000 miles. That's not too bad. Would I make money selling the car? No, but that's not like a realistic world that we are going to be living in the future. So you guys can take that for what it's worth if you want to take a little bit of a money thing away from this video. And just for reference, I financed this. I didn't really do a down payment on it. I probably did like $1,000 on it just to offset the fees. But the monthly payment's like in the 500s. But that's also because I financed this back in September of 2022, before rates had really gone up very much. So I think my rate is like 2.99 or something like that for 72, I want to say. So, so yeah, I mean, I kind of got in before the rates got really crazy. So the payments on these cars would potentially be higher now, especially if you're gonna pay sticker. I guess I owe you guys a video on how much you can get these under sticker for now, because I do see them on lots now. But that concludes your 4,000 mile review. I'm about to be pulling up to Tommy's shop in the next 2 minutes, and the next video that you guys see about the Subaru at least is going to be us pulling the pan. And I have a very special video coming up by the end of the month that involves exhaust that you guys should probably be subscribed for. So that being said, let me know your thoughts on the 2022 WRX. Let me know what mods or what kind of tunes you want to see. Our tunes coming up will be ethanol, will be like an E30 or an E40 blend. My biggest worry is the transmission / the clutch, and then the brakes too. I mean, we got to figure that out, but there's only so much you can do with the brakes currently. So that's another thing. Do you guys do the Subaru Wave to VBs? Because I feel like it's kind of an a-hole move if you guys don't do the Subaru Wave. And I think it's also really funny when people don't do the Subaru Wave to me in the VB, because it's like, okay, I have another Subaru. I'm obviously waving at you because I know the Subaru Wave, I know the Subaru community, and I have an S209. So like, maybe people should just be a little bit less cultish about the whole Subaru thing and like anti-VB or whatever, and just do the stinking wave. Or don't, and just don't wave at anybody. But that's just my take. But that's it for this video. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys for the next video.